After I posted my last video, some people commented saying I was just making everything up. They said almost every single one of her videos has a different sad story. She's definitely lying. How come I've got so many stories? I've thought about this a lot. And honestly, I think it's just because I've lived a full life already. I'll turn 37 soon. I know that sounds young to most people, but to me, it feels like I've lived an entire lifetime. I was supposed to get kidnapped by human traffickers when I was 6. I was supposed to drown in an abandoned lake when I was 19. I was also supposed to die in that fire. Wow. But somehow, I'm still here. The truth is, I've always wished I didn't have any painful stories to share. When I was 13 in middle school, I wrote stories whenever I had free time. It was my only escape. I penned ancient romantic fiction filled with martial arts and epic fight scenes. The characters could fly across rooftops. Everything was bold and straightforward. Ice cream. Hot dog. I never wrote contemporary stories back then. I was too young. I hadn't really lived. And what little I had been through just didn't feel like something you put in a story. As I grew older, I gained more life experience. But every single new experience was dark and emotionally draining, nothing like the romantic fantasies I'd once dreamed up. Those harsh realities shattered every last bit of my hope and naivety. After that, I couldn't bring myself to write anything for years. Right after the fire, the landlord kicked us out. At least, he didn't make us pay for all the damage, which I suppose was kind of him. I called my dad, and he rushed over immediately. That night, he found the cheapest motel room for us to stay in. It was barely 3 square meters, only big enough for one single bed. My mom and I slept on the bed, and my dad slept on the floor. The next morning, the motel owner spotted the 3 of us stepping out of that tiny room. He looked utterly shocked and annoyed, staring at us for a long moment, probably wondering how we'd crammed 3 people into a single-person room. It was such an awkward, humiliating moment for us. We paid extra to upgrade to a slightly bigger room and stayed there for 3 nights. While we were there, I spent all my free time scrolling through rental listings online. I just realized I probably left my keys at the office. I eventually found a room for 350 yuan a month. It was pricier than my previous place, yet far cheaper than most local rentals. The apartment was old and run down, but it sat in a proper residential complex, not one of those cramped, subdivided urban village rooms. It was tiny, yet it finally felt like a real home. I paid the rent and the deposit on the spot without a second thought. My parents bought me some basic stuff and then went back to our hometown, leaving me to live and work alone. But just 1 week after I moved in, the landlord dropped the truth on me. The building was scheduled for demolition, though they didn't have an exact timeline yet. He said I could stay as long as possible before the teardown. It hit me hard. I felt totally cheated. All I wanted was a stable place to settle down. I hated living in fear, waiting to be kicked out any day. So I asked for my money back and started looking for a room all over again. I eventually found a top-floor room for 170 yuan a month. No air conditioning at all. I'll never forget that summer. It was unbearably hot. Top-floor rooms turned into furnaces. Even the bamboo mat I slept on was scorching every night. But the heat wasn't the worst part. My family was falling apart. My parents were getting divorced. The last straw was when a wall collapsed in our old family home. My mom was already traumatized from the fire, and all this made her feel like her life was completely ruined. She moved back in with me, squeezing into that tiny, sweltering room, and pouring all her hopes for the future onto my shoulders. By day, I struggled through my temporary government job, overwhelmed by unfamiliar work and complicated interpersonal relationships I could never figure out. By night, I came home to a broken family and an unbearably tense atmosphere with my mom. I never had a single peaceful moment. My relationship with my mom hit rock bottom. I couldn't take it anymore. I quit my job, moved out, and my mom left too. We didn't talk to each other for a whole year. Constant moving and endless misery wore me down completely. I was so desperate for stability that I took a live-in front desk job at a logistics company just to have a roof over my head. It had nothing to do with my major, and I was completely unsuited for the work. I've said it before, I've never been good at navigating social rules or talking to people. That job made it crystal clear. I'm simply not cut out for roles that involve non-stop interaction with others. So I went back to my professional field. Starting at the very bottom as a publishing apprentice, learning everything bit by bit. 3 years later, my salary went from 1,500 yuan to 3,500 yuan. I was grateful for the pay bump, yet the workload was brutal. 12-hour shifts and only 1 day off a week. The long hours, plus all the family tension, left me breathless. And those were the years when smog was at its worst. Every day I couldn't even breathe clean air. My nostrils would be black by the time I got home. I'd often find myself wondering, how much longer could I keep living like this? What was the point of grinding non-stop for money I might never live to enjoy? I'd listen to music on my daily commute. Over time, I drifted away from mellow pop and turned to rock. I used to wonder why people liked such loud, noisy music, but after all I'd been through, I finally got it. The strong beats, the guitar, the raw lyrics, they let me release all my suppressed feelings. I felt understood. I was 27 that year. I fell in love with a lot of rock bands. Then I found out one of my favorite lead singers died at 27. He only lived to be 27, yet he lived such a vivid, blazing life. Meanwhile, what have I accomplished with my own 27 years? Like I mentioned in my last video, I didn't shed a single tear after the fire. I rarely cry when misfortune hits me anyway. But I cry for other people's stories, even fictional ones. I tear up listening to songs, watching films, and reading novels. I even cry when the lead couple finally reunites in romance shows. I only allow myself to be vulnerable in other people's stories. In 2019, I relocated to Shenzhen, but before that, I took a trip to Nepal. On a busy street in Kathmandu, a vendor threatened me, shoved me aside, snatched my phone, pressed a necklace on me, and refused to let me go unless I handed over an absurd amount of money. In the past, I would have just paid the money and run away, much like the time I gave my number to that creepy man. But that day, I didn't back down. It was the holy festival and there were police everywhere. I was really angry, so I found 2 police officers. I used every bit of English I had, stuttering, to tell them what happened. The police came with me, and the shop owner gave my money back. But after the police left, I didn't feel relieved. I felt scared. I didn't go straight back to my hostel. I walked in circles for a long time, afraid someone would follow me and take revenge. When you are stranded in a foreign country, fear hits so much harder. I even caught myself thinking, if something terrible happened to me here, would it turn into an international news headline? Luckily, nothing happened. I came back safe and sound. Otherwise, people would definitely say I made that story up too. To everyone watching my videos, I hope you never have to gather a lifetime of painful stories like mine. If you do have stories, I hope they're all happy ones. A quiet, uneventful ordinary life is truly life's greatest blessing. 一口。